So that's the difference here with Electric Radio Club. This is a multi-genre radio show. So you're not going to hear the same 20 songs over and over again. You're going to get a variety because I love music of all kinds. And so be prepared for an eclectic mixtape.
Hey, I made you a mixtape. I discovered some new favorites on here on Electric Radio Club.
Hi there, and welcome to Electric Radio Club, a radio show that has a playlist with a purpose. I'm your host, Joey, your music curator, and boy, do I have a great theme for you today. So a little bit about Electric Radio Club. Electric Radio Club is mixtapes inspired by pop culture, the arts, and life situations. I love movies, books, poems, artist stories, anything that I find really inspiring. And I like to make a playlist inspired by those stories. So every show, I base it on a theme. And this theme for this episode is called Dumbo, You Don't Need the Feather, inspired by Dumbo. Yes, the little baby elephant from the Disney movies and the cartoons, and Tim Burton remade it, and it's wonderful. So I really love one of the messages that is in the story of Dumbo. So if you're not familiar, Dumbo is an elephant. He has ears that are bigger than all the other baby elephants, and he thinks he needs a feather to fly. Now, I started thinking about this character and how I can relate to it. So there's just a lot of heartbreak right at the start of his story. And, he's trying to get past that. And he thinks he needs a feather to fly. That's like his little good luck charm. He's like, if I have this one thing, then I can do what I need to do. So I based the playlist kind of starting off that theme. So starting this playlist, I started off with the song Motion Sickness by Phoebe Bridgers. It's such a great song. Like, I love the line in there that says, I have emotional motion sickness, because that kind of reminds me of like Dumbo's situation. And who can't relate to that undescribable feeling of, I feel just emotionally overwhelmed. And a couple other artists that I kicked off the playlist with are Natalie Bergman with Lonely Road, and a great track by the iconic indie rock band Broken Social Scene with Can't Find My Heart. Because to me, that just, is exactly what Dumbo's situation is. I can't find my heart. Where did it go? I'm lost. And, I relate to that. Who can you? I just feel I don't know what direction to go. I need to find what lights me up again. And so I kind of base these themes on my song selection. But don't worry, I got plenty more coming up. So another thing that I was thinking about when I come up with these playlists is I like to weave in other inspirational stories that I feel like relate to this idea or message of Dumbo needing a feather to fly. It's all about confidence, and he just thinks he needs this good luck charm in order to, fly. And I think some of us can relate to that. I relate to that. For years, I carried around this keychain. I was like, if I don't have this, I'm going to have bad luck, And there's a lot of things that I think I need in order to feel better about myself. For example, this is a silly example, but I'm going to use it. I have this cheap mirror in my room, and when I get ready, I look at the mirror. I'm like, this is a horrible mirror. I look horrible. But the mirror has nothing to do with that, right? It's the reflection of the self. It has nothing to do with how pretty the mirror is, how clean the mirror is. Well, that helps. I mean, a different mirror is not going to make my outfit look better, Okay, maybe sometimes a better mirror is good, but it's all about the reflection. Like, you don't need something fancier in order to feel better about yourself. And it's all about the confidence that you already have. And I knew I wanted to include another track on this playlist by the iconic band The Clash. Oh man, I love The Clash so much. I included one of my favorite tracks on here called Magnificent Seven. And I was really inspired by an interview I read with the lead singer and guitar player, Joe Strummer. So if you're not familiar with The Clash, they are a punk band from the late 70s, early 80s. And I read this interview where Joe Strummer and the band got their first record deal, and they didn't have much. Like a lot of bands, they're trying to get by. And he was living in an abandoned ice cream factory. And he talked about the song that he wrote. I think it was called Love and Hate, or Hate and War. Sorry. And he goes, I wrote it in this abandoned ice cream factory where I was living, and I wrote it by candlelight. This artist knew he had something. He had confidence, and he didn't need to write that song in a fancy recording studio, you know? And to me, God, I love Joe Strummer. Like, talk about an artist gone way too soon. And well, that's a different story for a different time. So I had to include some upbeat tracks, Dumbo's taking flight, he's not feeling too good about himself. So I gotta add some upbeat tracks into the mix. So include this other artist called Miss Grit. The song is called Tourist Mine. And I really love the lyrics at the start of the song because it sings, start here and understand your fear. And isn't that what most things, when we're setting out to do a certain task, whether that be you're going for a job interview, you're traveling, we base fear around so many actions that we want to take. And it's important to understand that. And there's a lot of times where I've done that. Maybe you can relate, where I'm like, what's really holding me back? What am I afraid of? And so I included that track. It's kind of electronic, and I hope you enjoy that one. So this is where I love suggesting movies on my radio show, because I just find so many inspiring parts of movies or lines or scenes that I think can relate to a playlist. And so there's a great movie called Air about the making of the iconic sneaker, the Nike Air Jordans. So where I felt like this was a great story that played into Dumbo was there's a really great scene in this movie where Michael Jordan's mom, who's played by Viola Davis, is on the phone talking to Nike about this deal. And how I feel like this theme of Dumbo needing the feather, it made me think of brands and fashion. So Nike shoes, they say that they can make you jump higher and run faster. But here's the thing, like Michael Jordan didn't have a certain shoe that made him a great athlete. And so Nike saw this value in him, and they tried to undermine his value, and his mom was not taking no crap. So there's a really great scene. And side note, anything that I reference, I'm going to include in the show notes. So if you're like, what was that book? What was that movie? Don't worry, I got you. It's all going to be in the show notes. And that's what I think, like, that is the power of branding and marketing, is certain items we think will make us feel better. Like Nike shoes don't make you jump higher or run faster. I mean, yeah, it's a great product, but you can be those things without a particular, jacket or shoe or whatnot. So I just think that's a great example, and we could all learn something from Michael Jordan's mom, is like, your confidence and your abilities in order to fly like Mike and like Dumbo. So ending the playlist, I had to include this great track by Katie Golan and The Drive called Outcome. It's just a really upbeat, poppy, pop rock track, and I really enjoy it, and hope you do too. And also I included another track by Florence and the Machine called Raise It Up. And I really like this line in there that says, this is a gift. I think it's important to me, it's about sharing what you have. And then I also ended the playlist with a great song by one of my favorites, PJ Harvey, with You Said Something. And I think it's important to remember people along the way who are trying to help you fly. So I hope you are going to enjoy this playlist, because I am loving it. So here's a couple things that you should know. This is a playlist. So if you selected the video, you're going to have to make one extra step and go down to the show notes and hit playlist. And the music videos for this episode will play immediately after I'm done talking. But if you selected the playlist, you're going to see all the playlists coming up next, and that will play immediately after I'm done talking. So we're starting with Phoebe Bridgers, and we're ending with PJ Harvey, and plenty of others in the middle. So One more thing that I should add before I bid you adieu. Electric Radio Club is a self produced radio show, and it's not like any other. And I hope if you like this episode that you will like this video because I like making them and I hope you like it too. And one more little reminder before I leave. Please support any artists or bands that you like from this video. If there is a song that really stands out to you, buy the tracks, buy merch, buy albums, go to their concerts. It's important to support artists in any way we can because music gets us through a lot of things. Thank you so much, and you should turn it up.